Oh, all right. I look horrible right now. Okay, so quick side story. Quick side story. So today, I already put it together for the most part, but I still just gotta put the legs on. But basically today, I was just like, man, I want to build a table, for so I can do my fingerboarding. I like 42 inches. It just seems to be better for me. And then I was at Lowe's for like 2 hours because in my head I kept breaking it down and redoing it again because originally I wanted a collapsible table so I could put it in my trunk, take it with me wherever I go, and it was just mostly portable. And I really wanted to avoid screwing things in and out because then I just have to buy new wood because the holes would get bad. So it took me a while, but here I'll show you guys what I came up with. These are 42 inches, about the height of my lower rib cage, but I put these metal inserts inside of there. I thought that was a good addition, and I'll improve on it later. But for now, I got this 3/16 drill bit. Put this in there. This is like 1/4 inch 20 thread. This goes in there. Yeah, this goes in here, and yeah, and it's gonna go down in there. I don't care if this wooden hole is solid. All I care about is this one. And so now the original idea was I was gonna get these angles, and that was gonna be like the metal plate that was gonna like sit on the wood, so this washers don't imprint on the wood. But I could care less at this point because I really just want to get it assembled, and I want to get this first leg done. And so yeah, the whole idea is these go into those, and I was gonna also put holes in these so that way on each side. And since this nail is kind of long, I can't drill another hole in there because then it'll just interrupt this one. So I was just thinking I could just wrap tape when these angles are screwed down onto the table. I can just put tape around the leg using this, but I don't know. I was like, nah, and then this drill just died on me, so now I gotta go use my stepdad's impact. And yeah, guys, I'll show you the next step. All right, so now ideally you want to use two hands, but yeah, I'm just gonna screw that down. But yeah, I'm gonna put this together because I gotta use both hands, and I'll show you what the first leg is gonna look like. All right, so this is the first leg. Got it in there. It's a little wobbly for my taste, but I don't know. Like I said, you can only improve from here. So yeah, so that's the first one. So far, so good. I'm trying my best not to strip these because I kind of need them. All right, so after much time later, I actually built the table. Look, dude, this thing is so wobbly. Like, I don't know. This thing's a trip. Yeah, this thing's a trip. Look at that. Even after moving the legs, it still wobbles. But, I mean, hey. Let me see. I gotta get one in for the video. Nope. No, come on, dude. I'm not gonna keep doing this. One more try. No. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, this is a table. I don't know. Despite it being wobbly, I still dig it because I still poured like an hour and a half into constructing it, and yeah, I'm proud of this thing. I mean, a pound on it still stands up, so I'm happy about that. I just got to deal with the mess right here, and yeah, I'm gonna snap my fingers and it'll be I'm gonna slap my I'm gonna snap my fingers. That's gonna be clean. All right. So yeah, I cleaned up the room, got some shoes on, swept up the sawdust, yeah, and then picked up some food. Had to get that, and then yeah, actually, this video wouldn't be what it is if I didn't talk about something else. But yeah, this table was only inspired because of what happened today. So let's get into that. All right, guys, welcome back. Yeah, got the mic, got the thing, got my rosary on. All right. So, quick story. Earlier today, because of Hurricane Helena, what happened last week? Longboat Key. It's like a stretch of land, west of where I live, and it's usually just beaches and like expensive houses, condos. So the storm came through, and it's not looking good. Like it's not absolutely terrible, but people had to throw away a lot of stuff. I'm sure people got flood insurance, and there's only one way to get in, and it's like one long stretch of land. And you can come in like from two sides, but there's a bridge that's closed off. The beaches are like inaccessible right now, and you could only go through one way, and that's through Sarasota into the up Ringling Bridge into the city. So I drove up there. I was helping my brother. He was willing to pay me. I was helping him clean out this old lady's house, and it was like 18 inches of water. And I could see a line in the wall from how tall the water was. And so we had to go in, take out a lot of stuff from the garage, and we had to take all the shelves and the bed, the couch, and the stuff laying on the floor in the living room. But there was like a stairwell that goes upstairs. But hold on, I gotta fix. Okay, I'm good. And I don't know. We just had to put a lot of stuff up in the front. I think I did it was like 5 hours of work for me, and I'm assuming my brother's gonna go back tomorrow and finish up whatever he has to do. As I was driving out, there's this Catholic YouTuber I subscribe to. His name is Iron Inquisitor. I suggest you guys check him out. He's really cool. Wise brother in Christ. There was a YouTube short that he posted, and it was about, could Jesus speak Mandarin? If he wanted to. And for me and my ex-girlfriend got into a small little argument about this, because I told her like, I don't think Jesus knew every language at once. Like, I'm sure he could have learned it if that was in the books. Like, I'll get into my side of the explanation, but she was like, no. He was God. He was fully God, fully man. He knew everything, and he knew everything. He could speak every language. I could see where she's coming from, but for some reason, in my headcanon, it's my headcanon. My headcanon is like, so obviously Jesus came to this earth to fulfill a mission, to die on the cross to pay for the sins of the world, right? So I believe if that was in the books, because he was always about the Father's will. He was always about the kingdom business, all the time. He was committed. And I'm sure if that was in the books for him to learn Mandarin, I'm sure he could have learned it. Or he could have learned ancient Chinese, whatever they were speaking back then, And, Jesus, he's the perfect human. So I'm sure he could have learned it in his own way, and if he put some time and effort, boom, he can learn it. I don't, I don't think he can't learn nothing. He can learn whatever he wants. But but actually, what I got on the computer right here, I actually want to dig into this a little bit. I want to explore, maybe verses that kind of talk about, like his humanity. And this is not gonna be like an in-depth video type thing. Like, if you guys want me to do that, sure, whatever. Leave a comment or something. But like I said, I don't think I'm mature enough to be a teacher, but I can surely be an encourager, because I'm optimistic, and I just want to use my personality and my time, my talent, treasure, to point people towards the truth. That's simply it. Just point people towards the truth. God is real. He's personal, and he's waiting. He's waiting for you. He's knocking at the door, and he wants you to turn your life over to him, because truly his truth is just the truth. He made it. He made the world. He made everything. So why not listen to the creator who made everything, right? But let's not get into that right now. So, as previously established, when Jesus came to earth, actually, all right, let's get into the verses. Okay, so I have a couple verses we can look at. So, first thing I looked at was Luke 2:52. So in the context of this chapter, that's what I'm gonna try to do with these. When I pull up a verse, try to explain the context, give you some context at least. In this one, there is some important people, walking up to Mary and Joseph, telling them things about their child, who is Jesus, and what's going to happen to him, what he's going to do with his life. And they had to go there because it was Emperor Augustus issued an order for a census to be taken throughout the empire. And I believe because it was a prophecy about, a new king is going to arise, and it's going to be a male. So this guy was like, no, I can't let that happen. I got to kill all the males, basically, to make sure that this doesn't happen. All right. So the verse I was going to point out, I don't know if it supports my point, but the paragraph I'm going to read it quickly, is every year Yeshua's parents, their parents would go to Jerusalem for this festival of Passover. And there was one year when he was 12 that he had stayed behind. And Mary and Joseph were making their way back home, but they didn't know that he wasn't with them. And they traveled for a day. And they tried looking for him, and then they found him in the temple. And then he had this interesting thing to say. He said, when his parents saw him, they were shocked, and his mother said to him, "Son, why have you done this to us? Your father and I have been terribly worried looking for you." He said to them, Why did you have to look for me? Didn't you know that I had to be concerning myself with my father's affairs?" But they didn't understand what he meant. So he went with them to Nazareth and was obedient to them. But his mother stored up all these things in her heart. And Yeshua grew both in wisdom and in stature, gaining favor both with other people and with God. There's a little commentary right here. This passage provides a direct connection for a practicum to Jewish life, education of Torah, and Jewish life cycles. Yeshua grew in the wisdom of Torah and the Mizvot, and is seen in his ministry and teachings as authentically Jewish. Although commonly overlooked, this passage reveals not only Messiah's connection to his people and the study of Torah, but also his own Jewishness and observance. So that means, he cared about, the law and stuff. And at 12 years old. And so, actually, this kind of goes into what I'm saying. He had to learn the law. He had to learn, he observed it perfectly. Don't get me wrong. Jesus was perfect in every way. But, it says right here, he also, he dived into it. He was concerning himself with learning about wisdom, observing the law, and, and the study of Torah. He studied Torah. He didn't just know it off the bat. See what I mean? And this is just the first passage. All right. So so this one's called Got Questions. So in this one, this is my brother. It says right here, furthermore, the humanity of Jesus enabled. Hold on. All right. And also, just to add on to this humanity thing, it says right here, furthermore, the humanity of Jesus enabled him to be tempted. It says in Hebrews 4:14, for we do not have a high priest who is unable to sympathize with our weaknesses, but we have one who has been tempted in every way, just as we are, yet without sin. And then there's the story of, with Lazarus. Lazarus died, even though Jesus brought him back. But there's this famous, it's 2 words. Jesus wept. So there's that. And, still and it says right here, he sympathized with our weaknesses. And then obviously, the story, hung up on that wooden cross. The most humiliating and torturous death he can get at the time. Bloody, beaten, humiliated in front of everybody, the whole town. That's not it. And it's not in the Bible, but I'll say this. So the mother Mary obviously conceived him, birthed him, probably changed his dirty diapers. He probably needed her breast milk, probably still needed to eat food. And I'm sure he was taught how to be self-sufficient. And I don't know where it says it. I'm gonna look it up right now. But how do people even know that Jesus was a carpenter? How do people know Jesus was a carpenter? Yeah, which Jesus mentioned in the Gospel of Mark is another gardener. Oh, okay. It says in the Gospel of Mark, we find a direct reference to Jesus being a carpenter. And so let's go to Mark. I'm going to open my Jewish Bible. We're going to go to Mark, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Okay. Oh, here we go. This is Mark 6, verse 3. Then Yeshua left and went on to his hometown, and his disciples followed him. On Shabbat, he started to teach in the synagogue, and many who heard him were astounded. They asked, where did this man get all this? What is this wisdom he has been given? Oh, there you go. He's been given, they're like, whoa, how did he get all this wisdom, What are these miracles worked through him? Isn't he just the carpenter, the son of Miriam, the brother of Yaakov and Yossi and Yehuda? What? Let me look that up. Mark 6:3. Mark 6:3. Okay. I gotta get the U. I like the U version Bible because it's just a lot easier to read. This is NIV. What on earth? Okay. Isn't this Mary's son and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters with us? And they took offense at him. What? Hold on. That's interesting. Alright, Bible, Mark 6. 6:3. Left there, went to his hometown. What are these records? Isn't this Mary's son and the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Aren't his sisters here with us? And they took offense at him. Jesus said to him, a prophet is not without honor in his hometown, among his relatives, and in his own home. Wow. Well, okay, so people, I guess, back in Jesus' hometown were like, hey, you know, he said it himself, like, a prophet has no honor in his hometown. You can see that, you know, you see that in the Bible too. You know, prophets, if they weren't given a word that was good and they preached it to the people, they generally did not like that. They liked the prophets that preach good things. God's going to make our nation flourish. We're going to defeat our enemies. The crops will be plentiful this harvest. You know what I'm saying? All right, so I think there was another one. This is Jesus arguing with one of the Pharisees. Not arguing, you know, it's, you know, but this is the Pharisees accusing Jesus of being demon possessed because, you know, he has all this power and stuff. But when then they brought him a demon possessed man who was blind and mute, and Jesus healed him so that he could both talk and see. All the people were astonished and said, "Could this be the son of David?" But when the Pharisees heard this, they said, "It is only by Beelzebub, the prince of demons, that this fellow drives out demons." Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every kingdom divided against itself will be ruined, and every city or household divided against itself will not stand. If Satan drives out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then can his kingdom stand? If I drove out demons by Beelzebub, by whom do your people drive them out? So then they will be your judges. But if it is by the Spirit of God that I drive out demons, then the kingdom of God has come upon you." It says right here, Jesus knew their thoughts and said to them. Now that I've read it with the context, it doesn't really support my argument. But it does prove that he has wisdom. And that this is probably not, and like probably him growing up, he had to learn, you know, how to argue against people and their ideas with the Torah, with the word. And there's also the story about him going into the wilderness. You know, he's always citing Torah. That's a practice that he had to learn, you know. And obviously him coming up, you know, there's the missing years of Jesus, like from when he was 12 to the start of his ministry. And all this goes to say, there was this question that I asked my ex-girlfriend, smart woman. So if, you know, I do fingerboarding, you know. So like, let's say I had this, I took this back then, I put this in front of Jesus. I said, do an ollie, make this thing jump like this, and I put it in front of him. I put it in front of Jesus. One or two things could happen. Either he just does it, or he gives it a couple attempts, and then he just asks me, "Hey, can you just teach me?" Now for me, if he truly took on humanity, and I'm going to get into that, so think about it. A divine, limitless God stepped down and restricted himself willingly, voluntarily, stripped himself of, you know, not stripped himself, but like, you know, took on the form of a servant, took on the true form of a human being. And as we just read, he had, you know, he was a carpenter, so that means he had to work. He also suffered in his lifetime, and he also, you know, he also dealt with emotions. He had anger. He also felt sadness. He also was tempted by the devil himself. The devil dared to tempt him, and yet he didn't do it. So Jesus truly lived like a human. Think about it. God set the rules. He said, this is how everything should go. And since we couldn't do it, he said, fine, I'll do it myself. And that's why he came down here. And it's through Jesus and through that blood spilt on the cross by that perfect sacrifice, that is how we can come to have a relationship and to have redemption in Jesus. So, yeah. And this is another passage, John 1. In the beginning was the Word, Jesus, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. You know? And where's the verse in here? It says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth. So there you go. So I say all of this to say, if I put this in front of him, would he know how to use this, or play around with it, or would his humanity just like limit his immediate ability to understand how to use this? You know? In my head canon says he'd probably ask me how to use this. Hey, teach me a trick. He'd probably watch my hands, listen to my close instruction, and then, just go on from there. And then he'd be shredding for sure. So all that to answer the question, could Jesus have spoke Mandarin? I think if that was in the books for him to do it, I think he would have learned it. He's probably a genius in his own right. And then this was another argument I had with my ex-girlfriend, but she was like, "Oh no, Jesus knew every language." In my head, I think Jesus knew the appropriate languages to reach the people around him. So let's say there were Greeks, because there were hedonistic Jews. I'm sure he spoke Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew. He was trilingual, just like his divine nature, But I think he absolutely could have learned every other language. There's people today that can do that. They know multiple languages. Jesus surely could have learned it. He'd probably have to immerse himself in the culture for a small time and get a teacher and humbly just pay attention. And so yeah, but that's my headcanon. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but it's still, it's, for me, it's humbling to think that a limitless God stepped down and he gets us. He knew the struggle, and yet he didn't fail. That's a model none of us can attain. But it's his finished work that I trust in. I mean, we all fail every day. I fail today. I fail at following God every day. But the whole point is that I seek out the kingdom. I seek out the light, the truth, That's the whole point. And because I have given my life over to God incrementally, my life is just it's less shaky. I'll explain it more with my testimony one day. But yeah, guys. I think let's say we gave Jesus I don't know how fast of a learner he was, but I'm not gonna say he was stupid. He was certainly probably very, very, very wise. But I'm sure he could learn how to shred within a week. He'll be doing the tray flip within a week. I'll put money on that. Anyways, guys, that's the video. And the whole table thing, it's is a small part of the video, but my brother came in and made fun of it. Yeah, it's not the best thing in the world, but I made it. I like it. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Built a table, and we got the end. Told you guys a side story. So yeah, see you guys in the next one. And I forgot one last thing. So I've been doing pretty good on this. There's an event coming up in like a couple weeks. Been trying to train my kick flip, and I want to participate in best run. Hopefully get do a good job. And I'm going to, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I'm going to my first Christian heavy metal concert, and my first concert in general, on Monday. It's going to be with this band. Hold on. Right here. I recommend this album. I recommend this band. It's War of Ages. These guys are my favorite Christian band, and they make awesome metal. Especially the first track, Collapse. That is absolutely my favorite metal track of all time. Don't listen to it much here and there, but I think that's a good thing. Keeps it fresh, you know? And Collapse was like the very first Christian heavy metal song I ever listened to. So I suggest you guys go listen to it. And yeah, give it a check and check them out. But they're gonna be in Tampa this Monday, and Impending Doom. So those two bands, I'm absolutely gonna just go out there, and I'm a headbanger. So I'll see if I can get somebody to record me in the mosh pit, because I want to get in the mosh pit. That looks fun. And yeah. And one last thing, I didn't get to mention the gospel. And that's my thing. At the end of every video, in case you guys didn't know, I'm Christian. I aspire to be a man of God. You know, nobody's perfect, but no, He didn't ask for perfection. He asked for your heart. He asked for obedience. So we're gonna use this empty Fruit Loops 30-gram protein shake as the. My pizza's cold. So I made a video, so I can just reheat my pizza, whatever. This bottle is sin. This hand is us. Right hand is God. The right hand is Jesus, or heaven. Slash heaven. So the gospel goes like this. I mean, some people quote John 3:16. I think that's still a good one. Actually, I got the Bible open right here in front of me. Let me just read it off of this. John 3:16. And the context of this is Jesus speaking to a Pharisee called Nicodemus. And he's explaining the kingdom of heaven that's coming. But Nicodemus is having a hard time wrapping his head around what Jesus is saying. And some people like to quote this verse for the gospel, and I'm going to use it for this. John 3:16. This is the Jewish Bible version. For God so loved the world that he gave his only and unique Son, so that everyone who trusts in him may have eternal life, instead of being utterly destroyed. For God did not send the Son into the world to judge the world, but rather so that through him the world might be saved. Those who trust in him are not judged. Those who do not trust have been judged already, in that they have not trusted in the one who is God's only and unique Son. But no, there's a little more. There's a little more. Now this is the judgment. The light has come into the world, but people love the darkness rather than the light. Why? Because their actions were wicked. For everyone who does evil things hates the light and avoids it, so that his actions won't be exposed. Kind of sounds like us, even me sometimes. Everyone who does what is true... Wait. But everyone who does what is true comes to the light, so that all may see that his actions are accomplished through God. I thought like the verses that came after John 3:16 really come to highlight why people don't turn to God. You could have your own reasons. But whatever your reasons may be, trust me, it's not worth it avoiding him. It's not. If you're angry at God, tell him. He can take it. And he left behind a written word for you to take up your frustrations, your sadness, your griefs. Take everything up to him. Ask a Christian friend, ask a solid believer a question, and we're not going to have perfect questions. And we have a human perspective, so if you get an answer you don't like, research it yourself then. Be a little less lazy and look into it. But these verses that come after it, oh, God so loved the world that he sent his son so that, it could be saved through him. But people avoid that. People avoid the gospel because they don't want to hear it. And they can have their own reasons, and that's, you can have your reasons. But the reason I'm sharing it is because he's done a lot for me. And I wish to see that for you. I wish to see that for the people in my family. That verse about, a prophet has no honor in his hometown, I kind of feel the same way here. There's only one other family member in my family that I can think of that's a believer. And, but that's not to judge my family. But yeah, I submit my truth, my actions to God, and it is just so, my life just feels a lot lighter when I trust in him instead of always having to rely on my wisdom, my actions to move everything. Of course, if you believe in God, if there is living faith inside, it should represent itself through actions. That's just the natural progression. But the gospel is this. There's something called sin. I didn't know there was any in here. But there's something called sin, and that's what separates us from heaven. But Jesus came on and took on human form. And he took our sin, paid for it on the cross, and died. Rose again 3 days later. And that just goes to show he is who he says he was. He paid our debt in full, and it is by trusting in him. And what does trust really mean? It means utterly relying on him. If the Greek word for trust is to utterly rely on him. And it's through him that we go to heaven. So yeah, this video is going to be longer than I thought. Hopefully my phone has enough storage to do it. I looked at it when I was done recording. It said I had like 50 gigs, and I have a 64 gigabyte storage. Also, Apple, you need to come up with a different SD card. You need to come up with a separate storage for updates like that. Put like another 50 gigs for the system storage or something. I want to use my full 64 gigs. Okay? All right? Shalom. God bless. And yeah, man. I'll hit you guys back up with another video. I want to be more consistent. And yeah. Hopefully you guys had fun, and I don't know, hopefully this is something good for you. All right.